When an atom in an excited energy level drops to a lower level and emits a photon, a particle of light, we find no cause of that event. Okay, that's the first one. When I first read that, I thought, well, wait a minute. The cause of the photon is when the excited energy level drops to a lower level. That's what I thought
think
at first.
You're actually making a good point there, Kevin. To say that there are these spontaneous events that can occur in an indeterministic way isn't to say that they are utterly bereft of causal conditions. They're not. As you said, there needs to be this excited atom prior to that gives rise to the emission of a photon. So it's not as though these events occur in the absence of any causal conditions whatsoever. But in any case, the reader needs to recall that the premise of the argument is very carefully formulated. It is everything that begins to exist has a cause. That is deliberately formulated so as to allow for quantum indeterminacy with regard to events. This is quite consistent with admitting that there are events that occur without a cause. And so events that are, say, movements of a libertarian free will or decay of atomic isotope or emission of a photon, we can happily admit, at least for the sake of argument, that those are uncaused events and it wouldn't affect the truth of the premise, which concerns whether or not things can actually begin to exist without any causes.
He says, similarly, no cause is evident in the decay of a radioactive nucleus.
Same thing.
We're
principle? Talking there about events on the quantum level that occur spontaneously. And I want to add one other thing too, Kevin, is that it's not at all proven that these events really are indeterminate. Notice he says no cause can be found. That is to say, we don't have the ability to determine or predict exactly when and where these events will take place. But that's no proof that they don't have causal conditions. There are about 10 different physical interpretations of the mathematics of quantum mechanics, and some of these are fully deterministic, so that any indeterminism is purely in your mind. It's just epistemic. It's just your ignorance of the determining conditions, but they actually are there. So even on the quantum level, these quantum events are not proven and counterexamples to causal determinism. And actually Stinger admits this. If you look in his book, I think God, the Failed Hypothesis, he admits that causes for these events may someday be found, and therefore we cannot assert that with any kind of confidence that these events are really uncaused.
And by the way, this writer, he's a proponent of the Kalam, but he's trying to clear a few things up. He says, it seems to me that at bottom, the cause of these two events, Stinger mentions, is the second law of thermodynamics, but I'd like to know whether or not you agree with me.
No, I don't think we want to say that. I mean, the law doesn't cause anything. Laws are just equations or propositions. What they do is they describe causal conditions sometimes in the universe, but they themselves don't cause anything.